Hey, I need better lighting in this room. I'm not sure what is wrong here. Oh, ad break still ongoing. Shall we play a bit of Fiiish? Shall we? Okay, this is Godot. This is cheating, right? So this is Godot. This is cheating. Let's go play Unity. And we get a loading bar. We didn't do anything. Why do I deserve this? I mean, bring the rain. You know what? I love Fiiish. This is starting to feel like a game again. I mean, fix the background and the audio and we have a game, but we're going to stick to the plan. So plan is still to do Fiiish v3 parity with the Rust version in Unity and Godot. I'm not sure why I'm doing this. Crazy day. Fought a lot with Unity, C#, JavaScript, cores, headers, blah. Let's dive straight into this. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. Let's stop this, right? And so, where's the plan? Here's the plan. Here's the plan, right? Last time we did the HUD and the pause menu. That's kind of working. And now we want to do the settings menu, right? So just for reference, as usual, I want to look into that Godot resource problem, but we stick to the plan, right? We leapfrog. So we have the pause, we have the settings. We're talking about this screen for today. And that shouldn't be too hard because these buttons basically do nothing yet, right? And printing text should be pretty straightforward. I mean, we did it here. And layouting and vertical layout with some positioning. Oh, that's gonna be. I smell trouble. Trouble, he said. And then obviously the fading, but also this fading here, right? The cross fading between paused and unpaused, and the fading in and fading out. That's our goal for today. And let's see how we will do. I mean, it was trivial in our own engine. It was pretty simple in Godot, right? Just for reference, we have the fading here. We made it a little bit faster, right? But that is working. So, and we added a nice little outline around the font just to make it more readable. Fair enough, but I think we start with this fading of the settings button here. Because then we have fade, and once we have the fade, we can do this fade. And then we can, this is just a crossfade between two buttons, right? This is not the same button. This is two buttons. So I'm not sure how to do that in Unity, but we're here to learn. So let's get started. And it's starting to get a bit messy, but we always say we do the cleanup later, right? So I still have this weird arrow, which I have no idea where it comes from. Some collection has something in it that shouldn't be there. I don't know. But we want to focus on this here, right? Oh, wait, on this here. Just clicking 3 times and you're there. So that is a settings button here, right? This one here. And currently we hide and unhide it, but we want to make it fadeable. And probably, I mean, we have a renderer here, right? We have an image. We can just tweak the alpha of the image component, right? That gives us our clean fading. So I would say, how about we add a new script? and call it fade UI element. Fade UI element, UI fade element. I'm not sure what the naming scheme for UI doesn't seem to be anything very specific, right? So, well, there's no naming scheme at all. So why don't we just create a script? And actually, let's create a folder here for UI scripts only. Create a new script and fadeable UI element, right? Fadeable. Is fadeable a word? Is that spelled correctly? I don't know. So we go to the settings button and wait for the rainbow ball because it's Unity. I didn't do anything, but null reference exception. Where? Where? Okay, so we go to the settings button, right? Scroll down here and just drag the fadeable UI element onto it. And then we open it. And okay, we have a fadeable UI element, right? And we want basically two public methods. One is a public void fade in with a float duration. And then we have a public void fade out with also duration, right? And that's pretty standard. Then we have a private, right? Private float fade. Actually, it's alpha, right? How far we are faded. So now let's say we have a fade speed that defaults to 0.0, right? And a private float alpha. And we default to visible, right? Why? Because it's never used. Okay. So when we fade in, right? When we fade in, we set the fade speed to the inverse of the duration, right? We want to fade over 2 seconds, so we need to fade 0.5 per second, and just for 100%. So, but if duration is smaller or less than 0, right? Then we do something special. And we basically set alpha to 0.0 and hide something. And I'm not sure what we... So to fade something, right? Is it always an image? The thing is, what does image derive from? No, nope. And it's going to open in the wrong browser, right? So, and I didn't do my usual close all windows from the previous session. So, image. Wouldn't it be nice if all the UI stuff had a common ancestor so we could fade that? What if? Not now. Please, not now. I just emptied 10 gigs before starting the stream. Oh man, Unity. So I mean, basically we only need a color, right? We only need a color. That makes wiring it up pretty weird. So how do we expose the color of the image? Can we, what if we create an empty, right? Settings, button, fadeable. This will probably wreck our layout. Yep, it just wrecked our layout. But why? Oh, we can have a canvas group. So, but why, right? I mean, what if we just center this? Right? What if we just center this and then we remove the fadeable here, right? And we add the fadeable here. Because this has an alpha, right? So we can use this to fade the button, right? Can use this to fade the button. I want to kind of turn this into more like a prefab, but then I have to manually re-export everything. So I want this to be fadeable, right? So you have the in-game pause menu, right? And when I toggle pause, we update the settings button, right? And the settings button is a button. But why is it a button? Why is it a button? What's the parent of a button, right? Because technically we don't really care what it is. It should inherit from something. Thank you for the good documentation. This documentation is a nightmare, right? So how do we do this in a clean way? We can do it in a way, but I want a clean way, right? I want basically my own. So what if we turn this into a canvas group, right? Because this, where can I see the type? Canvas group. Oh, it was this one, right? Canvas group. Switch to scripting. So it's iCanvas, right? That's not. So it's a canvas, right? So what if we say, instead of having this, we have a public canvas settings canvas, right? I would love this to be a UI element, to be honest. This doesn't make a lot of sense, but we can do this, right? Well, actually, we know it needs to be a fadeable, right? So what if we actually say, come on. What if we say this here, right, is a settings element. Settings UI element, right? This is a settings UI element, and now it needs to reload. Fair enough, because we changed the editor, and this will take forever. And we can do this now, right? And now we know it's fadeable. Now we know it's fadeable, right? We know this thing here is fadeable. So settings element, and actually we do a fade in, and let's make it very slow and very obvious, right? And in the other case, we make a fade out, which doesn't do anything yet, right? But it calls and we actually don't do anything to the button. Gonna clean this up in a moment. Right, so we tell the fadeable, hey, you fade, right? Fade. And that will do nothing because the fadeable doesn't do anything, right? In update, it does nothing. So we need the canvas. So private canvas group, right? And here we do the usual setup, and configure. Oh, come on, autocomplete. You can see that Unity is like 30 years old. It feels like it. So in setup, right, we say canvas group equals get component canvas group. If we don't have it, there's something wrong. And in update, we say if we have a canvas group, right, then actually we don't need the alpha, right? We can use the canvas group alpha. We can say canvas group dot alpha equals plus equals fade speed time delta, right? And then if canvas group alpha is larger than 1, if we fade it fully in, then we set the fade speed to 0, right? And else we do the same. If canvas group alpha is smaller than 0, then we fade it completely out, right? Fade speed equals 0. Well, obviously the fade out, this could be an else, but I like to handle the special case there and then. So wait, if you have an immediate fade in, it's this, and otherwise it's this, right? Because we want to fade out. Shall we just press the button and see what explodes? Unity is not going to survive. This was an experiment, but it feels clumsy. So. Oh, okay. My bad, because the in-game pause menu, I'm pretty sure here. So, settings element and the auto out. We want an instant fade out, right? I mean, you saw that it auto completed the other one, right? We want an instant fade out and the rest will be handled here. Let's try this once more with a feeling. I'm not sure that the arrows there are. Yeah, fine. Because we access the canvas alpha directly instead of, excuse me. So you see it fades out very slowly. And then it fades in very slowly. I'm not sure why it's not faded out at start, right? Because we say fade out 0, so why is it plopping back in? Why is it? So we say, oh, maybe we should fade it out if you fade it out. I'm not sure I like this approach, to be honest. Why is it? Why does it plop in? Right? I mean, this works. We still have to handle the is clickable. But why? I didn't do anything. Can you, why does it? Plop in? Okay. Debug.log. Fade in. Right. And here I want to fade out duration. Just to see if we accidentally call that stuff somewhere. The iteration speed here is abysmal. And I still don't know what this is. So I expect a fast fade out and then nothing else, right? Why do we get a fade out 5? We get a fade out 0, right? That's expected. Fade out now. We get a fade out now, and if the duration is 0, we set the alpha to 0, and that is fine, right? We get a fade out 0. We get a fade out 0 and then a fade out 5, right? So if we get a fade out 0, alpha is 0. Then we get a fade out 5, so fade speed is minus 0.2. And then the update says, hey, alpha is 0, subtract fade speed is negative. Maybe we set the exactly to 1 and exactly to 0, right? And here we say if fade speed not 0. If fade speed is 0, we just don't do anything, right? I'm not typing that slow. It's my system that's dying. Right? Right, so if we're fading, we just log that we're fading. Unity was running. So, who is... So wait a second. Wait a second. So, who is setting it back to 1? Why is it going back to 1? I mean, the rest looks reasonable, but here we set it to 0, right? So why is it going back to 1? Initialization order. Let me try something, and this is a bit ugly. And actually, we're not using the button anymore, right? Let's try this again. After this little break by Unity. Unity does not make any sense to me. It's the one tool that always drives me crazy because... So we set it to 0. We set it to 0, and then who the hell sets it to 1? Who sets it to 1? Where does this 1 come from? Who sets So the only thing that could set it to 1 is... Oh. Remember we removed this and said we added the canvas group directly? Yeah, my bad. My bad, right? And obviously it's not underscore alpha now. We set the canvas group directly, right? My bad. Wrong variable. And then we don't need the hack on the second frame, I hope. So settings button should be gone. Settings button should be gone, right? And then it fades in and fades out. Yeah, let's remove the debug noise on the fading. Let's remove this. Let's remove this. Let's remove this. I like to keep it in for a bit. And then here we can... We have a git commit with this, right? So let's clean up the commented code. We don't need this. I think we can remove this, right? I'm not sure who wrecked the formatting here. So we remove this, we remove this, we remove this, we remove this. And actually, let's set the fade duration to, well, let's leave it at 1 for the moment. Let's remove this and try if it behaves correctly. If we broke anything, did we break it? I don't think we get clicks anymore. Unity! So the settings button, right? Wait, there was some magic to it, right? Because we need a graphic raycaster on the parent, right? So we need a graphic raycaster. Oh, okay. We need a graphic raycaster. Otherwise, it cannot be clicked. Oh, that... Why? Why is this not clickable? I mean, you can see the hover here if you look closely, and this is not hovering, right? Actually, let's make this a bit more pronounced. 200, 200, 200. And that was a pressed color. I added it. 245. I just want the hovering more obvious so we see what, I mean, right? Funny. funny thing, while this thing fades in, we cannot hover this button. This is not hoverable anymore. I can't hover. Can't hover, can't hover, can't hover, can't hover, can't hover. What is wrong with... Okay. We don't fade in the settings button ever, right? Just to avoid that this thing is having any influence. It's just the pause button now. That is clickable. Oh, because once I click it, it's selected, right? Yeah, it's selected until I deselect it, right? And okay, so, right, because we have the selected color here, let's make that green. This button is too complex. We don't need any of that. We just need a texture, right? So highlight it. No. Didn't I? Didn't I? Oh. Okay, my bad. My bad. Unity UI. Nightmare from hell. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, now it's selected, and that's why we don't get the hover, right? Because it's selected. So it had nothing to do with the settings button. It's a settings button. So we're going to do the same for the settings button, right? So settings button, settings button, 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 button. Highlighted color is something red and selected color is something green, right? And obviously that didn't take. So we cannot highlight it, right? Because I don't know why. Right? So this works, and this doesn't, right? But why not? This should turn red, right? Why doesn't it turn red? Because so yeah, can you remove both, please? So this is a canvas group, right? This is a canvas group used to modify children alpha raycasting enabled state. That's what we want, right? Used to modify the state of children. This is exactly what we want. It's interactable, it doesn't block raycasts, and it doesn't ignore parents, right? So say you have a canvas game object and canvas group. That case does not render any of its children. So we're using it for exactly what it's supposed to do, right? So let's do this again. On settings, but we just rewired the signal, right? You just rewired the signal. Maybe that connection got lost at some point. I mean, it still didn't get... So Unity button in Canvas Group can't be clicked. I mean, we had that problem before, right? I mean, this is the canvas, right? And this is obviously working because this is working, right? And here we had to add the raycaster so it allowed the buttons to be pressed, right? So if I just duplicate this pause button here, right? Both pause buttons work, I guess. Right, both of them work and both of them trigger. So that works, right? So what if I create an empty here, right? And just put it under this pause button, but put this pause button inside, right? Weird. Oh, because right, so we have two buttons and this game object literally does nothing, right? So let's see if that works. This works, right? Both of them work. So the difference is that this is a canvas. This has a canvas group, right? So what if we add a canvas group to this? Right, that means we can fade this one here. Let's not fade it and see if the second button still works. So we just recreated the same thing from scratch manually, and right, so both of these buttons work. So let's move this pause button actually in the fadeable. Right. They're both gone now. Come on. Do they only work when they're 100% faded in? So if I move this back here, right? I mean, the only difference... Oh, the blocks raycasts? But this does not. Oh, okay. Okay, so we can remove this crap here. So the documentation, I read the documentation in the opposite way, but okay, if it works, it works, right? So we have a canvas group and we need to block raycasts and then we can fade out that button, right? And you can see it's interactable while it's fading in, but while it's fading out, it should not be interactable, right? So probably when we fade out, right? So when we're fully faded out, then we take canvas group. What's the difference between interactable and are the elements beneath the group enabled? Allow collision. I mean, I would say here we say blocks raycasts to false, right? And as soon as we, so if we do a fast fade out, we do that instantly. If we do a fast fade in, well, actually on any fade in, we say, hey, now you can be clicked again, right? And I'm not sure if I need to set both. Maybe I shouldn't have moved this. Right, so on fade out, we do it immediately. On fade. As soon as something becomes visible, it's interactable. As soon as something starts to become invisible, it stops being interactable, right? There's usually fade out a button after a user has done something and don't want to double click, so you only want to handle that once. Wow, now I have two of these where I don't know where they come from. So, interactable, right? As soon as it starts fading. So look at this inspector here, right? It's interactable and blocks raycast, so I can do stuff with it. Oh, it's... Wait. On fade out... Oh. On fade out, we do the same, right? If we trigger fade out... I mean, I just explained it to you. And and that means this is not needed, right? We could make it depend on the fade speed, but wow. Unity, oh Unity, you make everything so slow. And I just bought 2 new hard drives just for Unity work. So, right? Non-interactable, so I should be able to click behind it. There's nothing there, but it's interactable, right? And as soon as it starts fading out, it's not interactable anymore, right? Interactable, as soon as it starts fading out, it's not interactable anymore. And I'm gonna regret so much having this colors changed. But, okay, so let's change that fade speed to something more sensible, right? Actually, I'm gonna steal that from Godot because we want kind of similar behavior, right? He took 0.3 here, and that probably should be a config value somewhere, but that's overkill for a game with like 3 UI elements, right? Come on, come on, come on, come on. It feels good. So I just realized something. Oh, the pause button is not fadeable. Okay, so we can't do that yet. So we're gonna fix the ugly colors, right? So can I copy this color and put it here? Yes, we can. I mean, would be nice if I could just drag and drop it. Hello? So I have to close it here, otherwise it's probably should be white. Oh, how do I confirm this with the keyboard? Command Enter. Okay. Hey, we have a fading button. It only took us an hour. An hour. 1 hour for fading button. But it looks nice. And it's clickable, right? You see it down here. It's clickable. Yay, clickable button. So, fadeable button. And I'm going to do what I usually don't do. Yeah, you know what I mean. So I'm going to do a commit after a tiny change. Well, I usually do that a lot, right? Unity fade settings button. Add fading. Fadeable. Add fading to settings button in Unity. Right, so the to-do changed, the scene changed because we have everything in the main scene. Mea culpa, but I'm the only one working on this. We removed a lot of that code, made that a fadeable. And actually, maybe, just maybe, just maybe, we add the fadeable UI element, right? Let's rebase this and push the random typos saved by the bell. So next stop, crossfadeable double button, right? And so what I want to do here is actually, is this a canvas group or is this just an empty? So what if, right? What if? Yes, we make the pause button fadeable. That's one part of it. And I'm wondering if we should make this a prefab, right? So we have a fadeable button prefab, but the problem is what I don't want to do is we have to expose all of these manually. I mean, maybe it's nice because we don't have to expose all the colors and everything. All we have to expose is the source image, right? So maybe we do that. Shall we try that? Have a prefab that is a fadeable button fadeable. I'm not 100% happy with the folder structure. Right, we have a fadeable button. I'm just gonna drag that into the H box actually. And I want to drag that. Can you towards the end, right? And then we can we copy this and just go inside the prefab and just do this. Okay, so I mean, we could just leave it like this, but I want one layer less. So we add a canvas group here, right? We add a canvas group here, just one layer up. Oh wait, that's okay. Let's do this again, right? Let's delete all of this. Let's delete all of this. So okay, let's start over, right? Let's start over. So this here. This has, why does this have a rect transform? All I want to do is say, hey, make this thing into a prefab, right? So fadeable button. Unity make UI prefab, right? Thank you. That's not helping me at all. So yeah. Come on. I know it's Unity running, so give me a second. Give me a second, because I'm pretty sure we can just kill this and kill this and kill this. I mean, it's literally Unity eating up the memory, right? So there's not a lot I can do without. I mean, okay. I'm going to show you something. And this is not a joke, right? We have a nearly empty Unity project, and Unity and Unity Hub are eating up 20 gigabyte of memory, right? So let's kill Unity. Let's kill Unity. Let's kill Unity. Let's kill Unity Hub. And gain 40 gigabytes of RAM. It's probably going to tell me, hey, reinstall Unity or some. I mean, what? Why? Why? And now we watch this. Unity. And suddenly my system is responsive again. Okay, so it's not nice how ugly this frame is rendered. Well, it's not nice, but it's not nice, but it is what it is. So we want to do something here, right? How to create a custom UI prefab. Unity create UI prefab. Creating UI element prefabs. Drag the text element from the hierarchy to the project window. Okay, so to turn this into a prefab, right? You don't right click and say, make this a prefab. And I should have known that. You say, hey, this is a prefab now, right? It's right, so this is a buttons fadeable. And let's go in there. I'm not sure why. This should be part of the... So we have the button fadeable and the button, right? Which is nice. So nothing should have broken. We have a fadeable button now. It's called settings button fadeable, but that still works, right? So far, so good. So step one, we make a new button that's a double fadeable, right? And then turn that into a prefab and do the same. And I hope we can reuse this. Can we? What happens if we change the... Okay. I'm sorry, but Unity is tough, right? So what if I add another button fadeable here, right? And call it, I don't know, test button fadeable. And then that has an image, right? And we have textures somewhere. Right, and let's just use the music button here, right? So that works. That is nice. Right? So we changed the texture on the other thing. That's actually quite nice that that's exposed this way. So, but that's not what we want, right? So we want another empty. Let's make it an empty for the moment, right? So create an empty and let's call it pause. Let's call it play pause button, right? We have a play pause toggle button. And let's delete this and go back to the UI prefabs. And that has basically two children, right? That has the, can you go under that? That has the play button fadeable. And actually we want the other order, right? We have the pause button fadeable. Pause. Big win for these who can type. We have the pause button fadeable. And I don't know why the positioning is totally... I have a layout group, right? And I have 1, 2, 3. A test button fadeable is gone. Why is... Why do I have to do this manually? I don't get it, right? I mean, I know what to do now, but... So this is the pause button fadeable, right? So that pause button fadeable should get the pause texture, right? That gets the pause texture. And that's just a standard fadeable. Then we duplicate that and have the play button fadeable, right? Play button fadeable. And the only difference here is the button texture, right? So it gets the... and gets the play texture, right? And they're both in the same spot. That's exactly what we want, right? So the toggle button needs a script, right? That does some magic. Some magic, namely the crossfade. And since both of his children are fadeable, we should get that pretty cheap. But where's our scripts? I want to create a script, and this is going to be UI script, right? And this is create script. And this is toggleable UI element, right? Because we don't really care that it's a button as long as both children are fadeable, right? And we're gonna wait for the blue bar. And then we added this script, right? And now there are multiple ways we can do this, right? We know we have the fadeable UI element, right? We have the fadeable UI element, and we can just say, let's keep it simple for the moment, right? So we have a public fadeable UI element and call this A. All right, and then we have the same, and we call this B. Not sure where there's a blank line in there, right? And then we wire this up manually. For the moment, we'll do some quality of life work, but basically this is A and this is B, and my system is dying again. Sorry about that. So we have two fadeable things, right? So on start, and we're gonna do the same setup, configure. I never said autocomplete, so probably I should create a template, but and then we basically have a public void go to A. With a duration. And then we have a go to B, right? Go to B. And in configure, we basically say go to A immediately. Right? Ignore the rest, but so So now we want to do something on click, right? So we need to wire up both clicks. So we could do that in the UI, but I think we actually want to do that in configure, right? So this here, this here has an on click, right? So I think the fadeable should expose an on click, right? So we could wire up this to here to my system is dying from Unity. Death by Unity. But I don't want to wire that up manually. Well, we probably so here's the thing, right? I have a public void on a clicked, right? And then I have a public void on B clicked. Then yes, let's wire this up manually before. Basically, if A is clicked, we go to B, right? We go to B with our 0.3 for now. And if B is clicked, we go to A, right? And we emit something future. Right now, I just want to say, okay, if this button is clicked, then we wire this up manually, and I'm going to regret wiring this up manually and then destroying it. But basically, you say, hey, this fade out, right? And we just fade out both. We just fade out both, right? And if we go to A, we tell A fade in duration and B fade out duration, right? Fade out. And go to B does the opposite. Right? In B we fade out A and we fade in B. This technically doesn't need an update probably. So if we start this now and we wired up the button, right? It does nothing, but it does a not so nice crossfade. Why not? We could expose the duration, but let's make this actually very slow. Oh, it's the hover that... So both start faded out, right? So why? Because we do this one trick here where we basically say we do this after one frame, right? And that means we need to return an enumerator. which means start needs to return an enumerator, right? But that's fine. That's what it does. Anyway, I mean, setup shouldn't, but configure can, right? So what I don't get is when I press play, it should fade out and then it. Why is it plopping in? Who is plopping it in? Because maybe it's just the delay of the startup that makes it look like, but to me it looks like the buttons are jumping. Something is jumping, right? And that's clearly not fading in, it's jumping in. So why is it fading? How can I Unity set global speed? Is there something like timescale? The scale at which time passes. I mean, and we do that. Okay, we're going to cheat, right? Let's slow things down. I'm not sure. So it works, right? Because the fade takes forever, but why? Why, right? So this is fadeable and this is the, wait. Why are both of them visible? Right? Why? Did we mix the fade out and fade? We said toggleable element, fade out, right? We fade them both out. We fade them both out and then we don't do anything, right? Both are faded out initially. Both are faded out initially. Both are faded out. Who fades them in? Let's make sure they are faded out after the end of the first frame as well, right? Initial setup, we don't really care, but who the hell fades them in? Why is this alpha here 1? Why is this alpha here 1? Who does that? The canvas group is not set because our setup is not done yet. Oh. Initialization order. So the problem is, right, the toggle this here cannot call these because they don't exist yet, right? So and now it works correctly because we set it, we got an error because the canvas didn't exist, and then okay. So let's remove this. This is a nice hack. So initialization order is random between these things, right? It's not parent-child, it's just pure random. And now this is 0, 1, and this is 0, right? So let's set the time scale again, just to... This is so much not fun. Everything is so complicated in Unity. Why? All right? This one here is 0 and this one is 1. Why is this 1? Because I'm stupid. We said go to a 0, right? Let's and probably we don't want this initial fade here. Right, so we have an initial fade in, but that's probably something that we don't want. So actually everything is all right. Everything is all right, right? So we start in state A, right? That's why pause is first. We start in state A and then we switch between A and B, right? With a nice crossfade. And I think there's something broken with the crossfade because if you look, I'm not sure how I can move here when I'm scaled in, but this crossfade here feels wrong. Right, because they should both be at 50-50 at the same time. They start at the same time, so they should... It's good enough for me, right? So we have this button. Obviously, this pause button has a on click, right? And basically, I don't want on click. I want on toggle. So I want a custom signal on this toggle button that triggers when it has been toggled, right? So Unity custom signal. Is it signals? Custom event. Custom delegate. Is it delegates? Wait. Unity, right? Unity. I'm pretty sure we have a button somewhere. Coroutines, image, canvas group. Let's take the image, right? And go to button. Scripting API. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if it kept my search when I... Right, so the button has a on click. Obsolete, use clicked again. It's an event, right? So it's an callback triggered when the button is clicked. So is it an event or a callback? Is it an event or a callback? Right, so a button, right? The pause button clicked. Let me guess, it's on click, right? Because obviously on click is obsolete, right? Use click. So on click resolves and click doesn't, which makes total sense. So this is a button click event, right? And button click event is a Unity event. So what if we have a public class in our own code, right? In our own code. What if we have a public class toggle button, toggleable UI element, toggled event, right? That is a Unity event, and probably Unity event needs an import. That's fine, right? That is fine. So how do I expose this? Let's go back to our, where's our button? There. Let's keep stealing from the button, right? The button has, where is the formerly serialized as on click, now serialized at I think we can just make that a public. Right, so we can just make this a toggleable UI event and call this on toggled. Right, on toggled, and that should make it show up. Should make it show up here. Oh. Maybe not. Unity add custom Unity event. Unity events using generic. Did I miss a serializable? Do I have to? No, right? No. So we have a Unity event, my event. The documentation is so... How to display custom Unity events. System serializable. Okay, we need to make it serializable. Fair enough. Yeah, wrong place. Wrong place it needs to be. It needs to be here, right? So we make the event serializable. And then we just make it public. And I'm not sure if we even need to do this. Why? So, okay, we're gonna just steal from the button again, right? Because we know the button. Okay, it's inside the class. Fair enough. Okay. I mean, then we can just call it toggled event, right? What do I have to do to make it? I just wanted to show up here, right? I wanted to show up here like this. And I am pretty sure we are. And this is in a different namespace. Fair enough. It's serializable. It's a serialized field. I mean, it's private and they have a getter but that should be identical, right? It does show by default. No need for a custom editor. And the thing is, if you say public float test equals 4711, right? Are we editing the correct script? I mean, shouldn't A and B appear, right? But nothing else. What am I doing wrong? There's no errors, right? All compiler errors have to be fixed. I mean, oh. Okay, now our test variable is here. Let's remove this again, right? That was silly. And probably we don't need the serialized field because it's public, right? And public is serialized by default. Okay, and now we can hook up we can add one here, right? We drag this one in and say toggleable UI element on. Actually, yeah, this is the toggleable UI element, right? No. Okay, so. And this here now, right? This script for the in-game pause menu. Oh, my bad. My bad. Here, public void on play pause toggled, right? We do this, and that means after waiting for this blue loading bar for the up, so we can drag this, right? And say on play pause toggled. I don't like this dragging and dropping, but this means in the toggleable UI element, when we can say on toggled invoke, right? And probably it would be nice if it told us if it was A or B. Maybe it would be nice if it would. So we need to make this. Could make this an int, right? Wait, we could make this an int, right? Int is not good for now. I just want the toggle. We fix that in a second. So when we press play now, you're slowly getting there. Let's clear this. We get the on play pause toggled, right? That is good, but we want to know if it was A or B. So what if we had an enum AB, right? And said this is an event that passes on the state, which probably needs to be public, right? State, that means the invoke now is wrong. So this means state. And we give it the new state, right? This target. Not the old state, the new state, right? That means our hookup is wrong. So this here needs this state, right? And I hope we have automatic expansion of this, right? I'm not sure if this will still be hooked up because the signature changed. Yeah. On play pause toggled. Missing. Let's wire up this manually again, right? Just it's just what I did, but so now it showed me the state, and we know what A and B is, right? So let's clear this. I click once. The first click doesn't do anything, which is a bit weird. So we toggled. We are now on B, and B is the play button. We are now on A. I'm not sure why the first click is not toggling, because probably... Let's check the interactable state real quick. All right, so the pause button is interactable, right? And the other button not. So this, if I click here, right, and this button has to play pause. So if I click here, okay, let's, oh, okay, I was activating the game, right? Okay, so this is working nicely. And what do I do now? I mean, this is now easy, right? This is easy because we know A is paused and B is playing, right? The button is the opposite of, the button shows of where I want to go. And we start, no, actually, if we are in A, we show this is showing pause, so we are playing, right? Bit of a mind. And this is showing play, so we are paused, right? It's the what do I want to do? I press the play button to play and the pause button to pause. It's not the I see the play button because I'm playing. I see the pause button because I'm paused, right? And technically, what we could just do, we could do this, right? But this, we could just do this. We could just do this, just toggle on the toggle. But then once we get out of sync, we're in trouble, right? So let's clear this. And this works, right? Pause shows the settings. But now it's out of whack, right? Because I stole its. So that is not good. So we need to do two things, right? When we toggle the pause, and remember we toggle the pause also via a button later. But when we toggle the pause, we need to update the. Oh, funny thing, we don't know anything about the play pause button. So maybe we wire that up real quick in the other direction, right? So, and it will be first here. So we have the play pause button, right? And that is null by default. And then here we could just search it, to be honest, but maybe dragging it in is easy in this case. We have the play pause button, right? We just drag the play pause button in here, and maybe it should be play pause toggle button. Yeah, we rename this and we will wire it up again, right? Because we changed the name, we have to redo this. And technically it's a pause play. It's a pause. When we rename it, right? We have a pause play toggle button. State A, state B. And just for consistency, right? Because state A is pause and state B is play. So I want that consistency, a little bit of cleanliness, right? Pause play toggle button is a pause play toggle button. So we have the button. So we kind of doubling up right now, and I'm not sure I want this. So so what we could do here, right? We just say go to, and we need to rename this, go to, right? So if we are paused now, we want to go to B. And update settings button is not really fair. Right, but so we double trigger, but that shouldn't matter at all. Right, so that works. But this now also triggers the other button, right? So they never get out of sync. Whatever I do, I have the play button when the fish is not moving, and I have the pause button when the fish is moving, right? No matter where I trigger it from. Which is nice. So now I can just remove this button here, right? And this will probably destroy our layout. Right, and I want this first. Oh, that was not too bad. And the pause button here in the in-game pause menu, right, is just gone. So the pause button here is what we wanted to remove. How are we doing for time? Oh man, this took far too long, right? And I think that's it. Let's see if everything explodes now. Let's see if everything explodes now. So we have this button which does the pausing, and it doesn't update when I pause the game via the P. Where do I do this actually? Is this a game? So the game I don't think. Here's the thing. We remove this from the game, right? The game doesn't toggle the pause menu toggles the pause, right? You can just do this. And we have a toggle pause. And that then automatically up. So the question is, who owns the P button, right? So this works. And the P button also works, and the mixture also works. That was tough, right? So there's one more thing I want to do. And I'm not sure. I'm going to do one commit before I do it, because I'm afraid that nested prefabs will... Because I want to make this into a prefab too, so we can reuse it, but that prefab has prefabs in it, and before I drag that down there, I want to do one commit, right? So... Unity... add crossfading toggle button. Toggle would be happy now. Button. And Unity refactor pause handling. Right, it's just a reminder of what we did. How are we doing for time? Yeah, we're doing good. We're not doing good, but it's Unity, so I expected that this takes longer as a Godot version. Add cross-fading toggle button to Unity, and the refactor is for free, right? It's cross-fading, not cross-fading. I want it to be cross-fading. No. I pressed Command S and that is stash. I don't like that shortcut. So we updated the to-do, we updated the main scene. Yes, we need to clean that mess up a little. We moved the pause button handling from the game to the pause menu where it belongs. We removed the pause button, replaced it with our toggleable pause play button and the double shifting. This probably could be gone. Where was that? That was in the pause menu, right? Yeah, this can be gone just for making it a bit. That's cleaner. We removed some code because the button handles its own toggling now, but we added the P key and we make sure that this name here is not perfect, but we can clean that up. And then basically we ignore this. We ignore A and B because we technically don't care. We just want to toggle. We could do optimizations there. And then we have the UI prefabs, right? And then we have the UI script. So we forgot that in the last commit, but the CI system would have caught that. So some minor cleanups I want to do, right? I want to make this a prefab so that the toggle button also becomes a UI prefab, right? So the toggle button becomes this is a toggle button and this is a pause play toggle button. So we can reuse that later. I'm not sure if we will. Probably the music button. The music button actually in the dialog we're gonna do. Let's quickly test if that still works as expected or if we killed the signals again. The signals are very strong today. They're not breaking. I still believe that crossfade is broken. Maybe there's a pre-multiplied alpha in there that shouldn't be there, right? So I want to change this, and then in the toggleable, we had the go to A and go to B, right? That should be refactored, renamed. That actually should be go to A. Can you, I mean, if I refactor this, right? Wouldn't it be nice if you actually that's why I use refactor and not rename, right? Wow. Fail. So let's see if it still builds. Probably I missed one somewhere, no? Yeah. And this is a minor cleanup, but this will come in handy in the next dialog, right? And the next dialog I'm a bit scared of, so maybe you should take a little break. Or maybe we should just dive in. The pause resume is a bit noisy at the moment, but to be honest, I don't care that much. So minor cleanup in Unity, right? Untidy Unity, yeah. They should have called it untidy because that's how code ends up. The go to AB, right? The go to AB and the prefab that we just created for the toggle button. I need to grab something to drink after this real quick. But we're gonna cheat. I'm gonna give you the be right back, trigger the ad, so I'm gonna grab something to drink. Be right back. 10 more seconds, so I'm gonna close this. We're gonna go Unity and pretend there was nothing to see here, right? Apart from the much better looking Godot version, but so next step is that new dialog, right? And I think that should be part of the InGamePause menu, right? So I want a panel. Is it a panel? Is it Canvas Group? It's probably a Canvas Group, right? Because we want to fade it. So, I mean, we have the fadeable, right? So what if we add a Canvas Group for the settings so we can fade it? All right, let's do that, right? So this is in-game settings dialog, right? So is it just the image? Is it a panel? Is it a panel? Is it a panel with a background image? So what if we have the tech? I hope we already imported the textures, right? Texture UI. It's this one here, right? Wait. Oh. And now if we go to the panel here and say set native size, that kind of looks right. I want this centered, right? Centered without an offset. That this might not look balanced, but I don't care about this too much, right? Why is this panel? Why is this panel semi-transparent? Where does this transparency come from? Who said be transparent? I mean, the canvas is obviously not transparent, right? This is the HUD upper right. This is the in-game pause menu. There's nothing making it transparent. Who is making this transparent? I mean, I didn't do that. So that is our settings menu, right? And yes, I added it in play mode. So let's fix that real quick. And our position and everything is fine, right? And we centered, so I didn't do that in play mode. So that is our panel. So we want to make that fadeable, right? And we know how to make something fadeable because we made a nice script for that. That is called UI script, fadeable UI element, right? And for the fadeable UI element to work, right, the fadeable UI element needs a canvas group. All right. If canvas group is null, yeah, replace with readable. No. So if we start this now, we probably will get an error, right? And we want an error because that's something is misconfigured. So we have one error, right? And that error is canvas group is null. Right? And maybe we can say, oh, we could say for game object name, right? Just to get better error messages. So we get the error very, very early, right? Canvas group is null for, so we know where to find it. So that's easy to fix. So we add a canvas group, right? And then that I think Unity is eating memory again. Nah, I don't want to do that right now because there might be other stuff running. So that works now without an error, right? Well, let's hook up that panel real quick and then, excuse me, don't die now. Don't die now. Let's hook up that panel so it's connected to the settings, right? So the InGamePause menu will know the in-game settings dialog, right? And that is a fadeable, nothing else, right? So that is a settings dialog, right? And that is toggled by So funny thing is we have a button now that is not a toggle button, right? So this button here is a toggle button, but this button is just a button. So the settings dialog, we just drag this in, but we need to wire up this button to toggle the fade in and fade out the game settings dialog, right? So we're going to cheat. So the fadeable UI element, right, will get a public void is faded. Is fade in. Oh, it's a bool, right? It's a bool. And that is basically return canvas group alpha is larger than 0. Or fade speed is larger than 0, right? So if it's fully faded in or we're currently fading in, it's fade in. Does that make sense? Maybe the fadeable element instead. What if we just had a public bool toggle fade with a float duration, right? And that says if is fade in, we say fade out with duration, else we say fade in with duration. I'm pretty sure there's so what if the fade speed is negative and then we can't be larger than 1? Okay, I think this holds true, right? So the in-game pause menu, when the settings button is clicked, all we have to do is settings, dialog, toggle fade, toggle. Can you autocomplete what you actually wrote? Where did I make the error? Oh, toggle fade obviously doesn't have a bool, right? $425 usages for fade in. Okay, I'm pretty sure you're correct with that. Initial fade state ignored. So let's press pause. If we press this, did we actually autocomplete? Did I mess up the autocomplete again? Yes. Because we definitely wanted settings dialog, right? Probably we should rename that to settings button. But that means rewiring and so, okay, let's try this. So we can fade in and fade out the settings. Right, and we don't have, on play, we need to do the fade it out, definitely. So what we'll do is when the game is not paused anymore, then we say settings dialog fade out, right? And then we also do the initial state. But I like to have it in the editor so we see what we're doing. Right, so it's faded in, I press play. It should, why is it not fading out? Didn't I just say settings dialog? I said fade out, right? I'm 99% sure I said fade out, and the autocompletion probably unfixed what I typed. So, if we're playing, the settings dialog is never visible, right? If we turn it on, we can turn it off, we can play. If we turn it on and play, it automatically fades out. Right? And all that's missing is the initial state, which should be, it shouldn't even fade out, it should pop out, right? But we know how to do this because I'm going to steal this line, because after the first frame, this has the initialization order problem, right? And all the back and forth fading, all of that works, right? Nice. That's good. So all we have to do now is add a vertical box with a horizontal box with 2 buttons. And oh, I dread doing this. So I mean, shouldn't this? So I think I put them as children. So. No. That was a misclick. Maus gerutscht. Right, and this is Fiiish v3 Unity. Version 3.v2do. Right, and that obviously has the wrong font, but we know how to fix that, right? We know how to fix that. So I want a container, right? I want a container that has this size here. So how do I add a UI? I just create an empty, right? I just create an empty here. It's inside the, my system is dying. No, here. And then I drag the text under it, right? And this game object here, I mean, I could just do this, right? I could do this and maybe get away with it. And maybe I call this VBox, right? Just so we know what we're doing. Then I add a component, call it vertical layout group. We control the width and we control the height. Let's see, right? And then here we just say, yeah, we want this centered and maybe a bit bigger. And we had extra settings like glow, right? Outline. I mean, there's already an outline around it, so that's good. And then we have a text. This is a title text, right? Title text. And then we duplicate that. And this is the description text. And I forgot what the text was, right? But it's basically this text, right? So maybe we make it similar. Version to do, and this is just Fiiish v3 Unity. Right, but this description text is left aligned and maybe only 32. So I want this one to expand and this one not, right? So what I'm going to do here is add a layout element. We have a min height. We have a min height and we have a preferred height, right? Do we? What if we set this to, it's not stealing from the other one because that doesn't have a layout. So we have a min height. The min height for this is 48, right? Because that's the, well, let's make this 52. Right? And the preferred height I don't care about and we don't scale, while the other one has a minimum height of, I don't know, just can I just say eat everything? And then I add the hbox, right? So I create an empty. Let's call it hbox. Horizontal layout group. Just control child size. I don't want to control the child size at all. And then I add a UI. Actually, can we let's be daring, right? We have the toggleable UI element, right? Nope. Oh wait, that was not the prefab, that was the script, right? But I wanted the toggle button here, right, in the box. Can I rename this? Can I make this music on button? Or did I just added the prefab music off button? Right, and then I go here in the button and go into the, I'm probably breaking everything we did earlier today, but so this is the button music on. And this here is the button music off, right? The play button still seems to be okay, so we didn't accidentally kill that. So we have a toggle button in here. And I'm not going to wire up the logic. I just want the visuals today, right? I mean, the thing is, if I press play now, and all hell will break loose. This button does not work because we know why. But let's fix the layout first, right? Let's fix the layout first. So actually, this is the music toggle button, right? And I'm going to duplicate this and call this the sound toggle button, right? And I go in here and it's probably sound. No, thank you, Unity, for just typing over the C. And then I go here, right? This is a sound on button, sound on. And you can see it because it's in the same place. And this is the button sound off, right? On and off. You can see it here behind me. And they are currently in the same space, right? Why? Okay, and this this, right? And I'm not sure why I have to manually do that. And then this H box, I want actually middle center. with a little bit of spacing, right? So I want 2 buttons down there. We probably want a little bit of padding at the top and a little bit of padding on the bottom, right? I'm not sure why the size didn't change, because can I do a plus 32 here? Yes, I can. That's probably too much, right? I mean, does not really matter. Does not really matter because we're going to redo this anyway. But all I want to do now is get the buttons to be clickable, right? I mean, everything else works. I at least want them to toggle, so I think the trick is that the parent needs to have a graphic raycaster, right? That was the trick. And probably the parent of the parent also needs to have a graphic raycaster. This system becomes so unusable. Oh, so only the parent, not the oh, the VBox already. So the parent of a button needs to have a graphic raycaster. I mean, the nice thing is the buttons already work, right? They're not wired up, but they do work. That's because we built toggle buttons that are toggleable, right? And reusable. So this is nice. I'm going to add the script to the settings dialog, right? I'm going to add the script and just wire up the signals. So we have a script. And it's not UI, right? UI is only. So we have create script in-game settings dialog. Right, and we add it here and then we wait. That wasn't fast enough, so I have to wait first, right? And this has a public void on music toggled. And that is, come on, can you autocomplete this, please? No, you can't. Right? And we do a debug log. And then we do it. Why? Can be made private. Yeah, can you let me finish? Right, so we have these sound toggles. This highlighting here is weird. So this toggle button, right, has a toggle, so we can drag in the in-game setting and say in-game setting on music toggled. We go here and drag in the in-game setting dialog and say on sound toggled. right? And if we press play now and look at the console, we do not have music now, but let's look at the console. Let's clear this. Let's pause. Let's open the settings. We toggle to B, which is music is toggled to B, which is off, and A is on, sound to B. And that just works, right? We still have to do the if somebody changed the settings somewhere else and the initial state is wrong, but we will do this when we get there. I mean, what are we missing? What are we missing, right? Because what are we missing? I think we have done this. I'm not going to add the results screen today. And we're going to wire up the music and SFX when we get here. And actually save and load, right? And that is settings, save and load, settings, and progress. We kind of forgot to mention that we want persistent state, right? And maybe we do that earlier. Because the results screen will change the high score and the total distance traveled and stuff. So probably we move this here. I think that's a smart idea, because then the audio settings, I definitely want audio settings persisted before I add music, so otherwise I go crazy. And for the results screen, it makes a lot of sense. All right, but the nice thing is, I think this is done. I think this is done, and obviously we have to add this file to Git. Nice, in time for dinner. Maybe stop playing here. I really would like to try a web export of this at some point. Maybe automate it. This version string here needs to be patched in. Not sure how we do this. Probably I put a placeholder in the actual text, and then on load I patch up the text. I think that's the way to do it. But I'm digressing. So in episode 17, every episode has like 3 hours, so we're 60 hours in, not even. I mean, 54 hours in. How much is 7 times 3? 21. Right, so we're 51 hours in. Brain. 51 hours in, split half and half, and we have both games. Kind of fun and working. So, at in-game settings, dialog to Unity, edited the to-do. Yeah, that's the we abused Godot for the stream. I'm not sure why. Okay, the font we use more characters now, so we need to pre-render more glyphs. That will become problematic if we have dynamic text. Anyway, we added stuff to our scene. Nobody can read this mess. We have the settings dialog, which is fadeable, and that was pretty easy to add, right? Including the button hookup. We added this error to the canvas group if somebody uses to the fadeable UI element script in case somebody uses it without a canvas group. And we changed the sprite mesh for the frame to have different settings. That's fair. And obviously we need to add the matter also for the new script. And with that, I'm really tempted to backport the coin explosion to, oh, didn't I save? Ah. I forgot to save. I forgot to save. I'm gonna fix this mess. I hope I didn't break anything now. Okay, this still looks good. Nice thing is it even stores the, it's purely coincidental, but purely coincidental, is that a word? Let's play some Fiiish. And let's do the usual pause in our favorite screen, go big, and this is where I say, thanks for all the fish, and well, you should be thanking me for all the fish. Stay safe, always a pleasure of having you here. I'm not sure if I can do one on Saturday, but definitely on Tuesday we're gonna continue with this. You're getting there, game's almost ready. See you when I see you, bye bye.